a grind, such a struggle that it comes to the point where you're trying to take perhaps bigger risks to get a win over a tie, just to make sure you land outside of that bubble range.
Yeah, you have to be wary of the time that you have for each match, and that's why we see a lot of players kind of just scooping that up game one early or something, trying to get more games for that game, or more time for that game two and game three. But speaking of some games, we have our table ready. Let's go ahead and take it down to our players.
So already we've got the players set down at the table with their headphones on, and they're getting set up for play. We've got Piper, Lepine, and Andrew Kenneth here for our first round today.
Piper has been super consistent in last season for a lot of the regionals, making day two quite a bit. And then Andrew Kenneth has a regional victory, the first regional back in Salt Lake. You saw there in that recap video with Arceus, Gengar VMAX.
Yeah.
Also has a top 4 finish with Arceus Gyarados VMAX. So
pairing Arceus
likes
with whatever.
Likes to pair really bad VMAXs with Arceus. But
I had high hopes for Gengar. I think everyone did when he was revealed.
Hey, there's still a single strike Gengar in the field here, day 2, up against a Mewtwo V-Union. I think it was Azul too, so we'll have to see how that shapes out. But right here, Piper is on that Radiant Charizard Inteleon deck. Just one of the coolest decks to come out of the World Championships, I think, with Roscoff on really just trying to innovate that Radiant Charizard. And meanwhile, Andrew, he's playing the good old Reggies.
Reggies, yes. I know that this is a fun deck that a lot of people were looking forward to seeing. It was similar to Charizard, right? A deck that was a bit unproven. It showed early promise, but players just didn't have enough time, enough reps. You were very susceptible to getting just bullied by Avery, cards like that. And now with the meta perhaps a little bit more wide open, players aren't targeting you as directly. We did see a lot of Avery yesterday just kind of sprinkled in, especially with the new Mew build, but Andrew's managed to survive through that all the way to this point. So now we got the prizes coming down, a Registeel, a Regieleki, not too shabby, but the heavy ball also being in the prizes is going to be so detrimental to be able to find the missing Reggie that you might need if an Aleki or a Steel is the final piece of the puzzle you need. Meanwhile, Piper does have a Raihan in the prizes, so that comeback potential that the deck likes to use is also going to be a little bit of a missing piece.
This might be a rough game for Drew here, and we'll have to see how things shape up.
Starting with Drago. Okay, this is the Dragon's Horde Regidrago, right? So we do get a little bit of extra card draw. Andrew does have a lot of different ways to approach this matchup because it's not just about getting the full set of Reggies, using the Ancient Wisdom to get the acceleration. We know that these lists are built to just maybe set up a Regieleki, get some attacks, maybe get some cheeky Blizzard binds with Regice. So there is still play to just do a standard single prize deck almost.
Yeah, Drew's going to have to do it here. Looking through the deck, finally seeing what's actually prized and seeing that Steel and Regieleki is prized. Going to have to try to work around a little bit here. This Reggie deck is based around Regigigas being able to have all 6 Pokemon. Yeah, you see just...
Oh, yeah, so he has to scoop up. He's actually only running 1 copy of the Hisuian Heavy Ball. So since that is in the prizes, there's just no way to get to the actual Reggie pieces that are needed to get set up before Piper would just be able to run away with the game.
Yeah, it's a great way to get a Game 1 victory by doing nothing, and she's
just
get
the bad RNG out of the way right now. Andrew doesn't even seem phased by this. You know that when you're building your deck or just playing Pokemon in general, you know the prizes can fall in a very odd configuration. I think that on stream we've seen several just incredibly bad prizes. I remember yesterday with the Inteleon V list where they kept ending up in the prizes and it was so awkward to set up a safe board state. This can certainly happen to everyone, but this is a perfect point you already talked about, Jeremy, is knowing to just scoop quickly, have tons of time left in the round to play out a full game 2 and a game 3. Andrew's looking for a 2-0 at this point, and Piper now with the Radiant Charizard in the prizes.
That's going to be a little rough for her as well. Meanwhile, Andrew, not too bad. You got that Regidrago in the prizes, but we're not
Looking like
going
a
to
much
see
better start here.
we're not going to see a quick game like that last one. Like I said, scoop a little early to save some time. Not that early. That was like 30 seconds
instantly.
into the game here.
Frame one scooping. Frame perfect scoop.
Scoop of ice cream, I guess.
Indeed, but here we go. Regieleki with the speed, lightning, energy, just drawing 2 more cards from the deck. A lot of thinning in this list, right? We've got Path to the Peak to kind of hold back the opponent, but Andrew's also got Pokestops in there, and especially with Dragon's Horde, we can just draw and draw and draw, get those pieces. Piper playing with the Radiant Charizard box is also on a list that wants to fall behind a little bit and then come roaring back into the game with the power of Radiant Charizard and its Excited Heart ability. But so that just means that Andrew's going to have plenty of time to set up. Has to figure out which type of Regieleki there is on the bench right now. There's 2 different kinds that are run.
Yeah, and that is the targeted Bolt one, which does 120 damage to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon for 3. Not the best one that you want. You only play 1 of these compared to 2 of the other Regieleki. And like you said, Andrew can kind of take it a little slow here. Piper's deck isn't really going to come into the gate swinging too fast, but she does have access to that Inteleon with Aqua Bullet to get some damage in play before you grab that Radiant Charizard. And we'll need to find that Hisuian Heavy Ball to fetch it out of the prizes, but thankfully Drizzile is pretty good at finding trainer cards.
Exactly. Once you get now all the Sobble squad has been assembled, we're going to have access to so much shady dealings to pull boss's orders, to set up cross switchers, and just make it so difficult for Andrew to have potentially all of the Regis in play at once. Once Andrew completes the Reggie setup, it needs to start swinging immediately. Sometimes we see all the Regis are present, but the energies aren't in the discard pile yet to actually take advantage of the Ancient Wisdom, and then you give your opponent a window of opportunity to prevent, the full Reggie synergy.
Andrew has been thinning his hand down so you can use that Regidrago to draw up to 4 cards here. And thankfully with that Ultra Ball, it does play in combination with that Dragon's Horde.
And you just promote the Regidrago, and by the time it goes down, it's a bit like Gorman dies, right? You're just drawing tons of cards, just chilling and waiting. Once your opponent gets the knockout on the Regidrago, you've no doubt either have a way to immediately get it back to your hand, or the second Regidrago that you can just rebench. So really fantastic start for Andrew to have the Dragon's Horde here in the active. Here comes Pokestop.
That was actually a big Pokestop, discarding the Aurora energy to power up that Ancient Wisdom. I still just believe missing 1, though.
And has Heavy Ball. Going to take a look at the prizes. I think one of the Auroras ended up there. No, it was a Lightning energy.
You can grab that Regidrago from the prizes here with the Heavy Ball. Might as well.
Perfect. And this is exactly what Andrew...
Yeah, we're good.
Accidentally put the prizes on top of the deck, but thankfully there's 5.
Good catch there. And this is the other Regidrago. So that once this one with Dragon's Horde goes down, you have the replacement ready to go.
240 for that Dragon Energy attack, dealing less damage for each damage counter on it, but it is for that big burst of an attack. 240 damage is nothing to laugh at.
Yeah, 240 damage is coming right out of the gate. That instant power up. 3 energies is such a high cost, but we've seen with Star Portal and Arceus, and now with Regigigas, the ability to offset the slow setup of these attacks and get these big bursts of damage is so good for modern metagames. So here we go. Irida finds Rare Candy and Drizzile. The combos are all coming together. Piper's really going to thin down the deck heavily this turn.
We're going to have Inteleon come down onto the active spot thanks to that Rare Candy. And another shady dealing search for 2 trainers. But with that Fire Energy, now you can Aqua Bullet. And somehow this Piper's deck is going to be getting the first attack off in this matchup. And that's what you like to see here.
Just when, again, you think Andrew has the Ancient Wisdom set up, the Aqua Bullet's going to start sprinkling down, sniping these Regis, and then you're just forcing Andrew onto the back foot. He has to use all of his resources now to recover Regis from the discard pile and trying to get them re-established. Hopefully somewhere in this shuffling of reassembling the Regi synergy, there will be more of those Aurora energies discarded.
And Piper opting to grab that Magma Basin Stadium to replace that Pokestop. Pokestop is a very crucial stadium for this Reggie deck. Just it really kind of opened it up. It allowed you to discard the energy that you needed, get the items that you needed, and the only bad thing is when you discard a Reggie piece that you don't have.
And so there's the ping onto the Reggie Drago to set up the Aqua Bullet. And then 20 damage splashes onto the Reggie Lecky. Just going to be promoted into the active. We know that Andrew already has the next Reggie Drago off of the prizes, but again, just a little bit more setup needs to be done. Energy Lotto now being put down, checking the top of the deck for energies, and does find one. The final card there, Aurora Energy. Now we just have to find a way to get this into the discard pile.
That, and to find a Reggie Rock, but I'm not sure if Andrew's hand has access to Pokemon Search, I believe, or even a supporter.
Yeah, I think that with the Dragon's Horde, etc., you're kind of hoping to draw into it naturally. The Sui and Heavy Ball found the Drago, but Reggie Rock still needs to be recovered. This is always the trouble with these heavy synergy decks. It's great that a list can so consistently perform a setup like this that at first blush seems very complex, seems not worth it, but you can still come up empty sometimes. You need that one missing piece, similar to Radiant Charizard, right? You have to, once the Radiant Charizard goes down the first time, you have to still scramble through your discard pile to recover it into the deck and then draw it back into the hand, etc. With Magma Basin being kicked off, it'll be difficult to set up that ability now.
Speaking of missing pieces, Andrew did find that Reggie Rock from the Marnie here, and Pokestop replaces that stadium. Discards another energy. Reggie Ice, not too good, but you already got one in play. And now you have access to that Ancient Wisdom from Regigigas. You can charge up that active Regieleki, but it is the wrong one in this situation. You'd love to put some damage on those Drizzile on the bench. Hopefully get a multiple prize turn later on, but for right now, you're just going to have to settle with that one prize, most likely taking out this Inteleon in the active.
All right. So there it is, discarding 2 lightning energy from the Regieleki to get that targeted bolt. Just going to zap down that Drizzile, pick up a prize. And because this is a single prize versus single prize matchup, you know, Piper's Radiant Charizard deck normally comes online a little bit faster. Your opponent's just going to be swinging on you a lot more consistently, and then you close out the game by taking prizes from V-Pokemon, V-Star Pokemon to make up for falling behind in the first place. So I think that Piper, again, is smartly relying much heavier on the Inteleon here in the Aqua Bullet to collect some early prizes to make sure that she's keeping up in this prize trade.
This whole Inteleon line has just been one of the best Stage 2 lines that we've had in this game. Being able to have access to any trainer card in your deck multiple turns down the line, and the fact that Scoop Up Net is in the format to reuse a lot of these Pokemon, and it's not too shabby as an attacker as well. Aqua Bullet, 120 damage, 20 to your bench for 2 energy, and we see it here with Piper's deck. She is putting on a show, 10-1 here this weekend.
10-1, and also took down the first seed, I do believe.
Yeah.
So the only player to be able to actually take that W, so you know that Piper is running hot today, knows this deck well. These Inteleon decks are very intricate, right? We see the Sobbles and everything come down so much on these streams, but you have to remember that sequencing properly, thinning your deck properly is something that just really goes unsung a lot of the time. And in a list like this, where you live or die by whether or not you're able to find the key cards when you need them, just demonstrates how versed Piper is in just rocking this Inteleon engine. And those who have been following the metagame for a long time have seen the rise of shady dealings Inteleon over quick shooting Inteleon.
Yeah, it has definitely just shown up and shown out yet again. And we saw a pretty heavy decision there with that Hisuian Heavy Ball for Piper. She had both the Radiant Charizard and the Manaphy in the prize cards. And looking to hopefully get one of those back with this prize this turn. Unfortunately did not. So does open up a little bit more Regieleki plays from Drew, but really on the back foot here. Now down 2 prizes, and Drew's looking to cobble a little bit of things together here.
Yeah, the second Regidrago is promoted, and now it's damaged, right? That Dragon Energy attack doing just a little bit less. Fortunately, still within plenty of range to get the knockout on the Inteleon. But here comes Pokestop again, drawing some quick balls. Has to find the Regieleki to turn this Wisdom back on. We have the Aurora Energies in the discard pile, so now we can start swinging away. Right now, Piper is ahead on the prizes, and now Andrew, it's going to be a battle of attrition at this point. Both players saying, can you put your combo back together? Can you put your combo back together? And if any of these players miss out on a turn of tempo and falls behind on the prize trade in the single prize matchup, it's just going to immediately snowball into their opponent's favor.
More often than not, I'm going to side on the person that has a lot of Inteleon and Drizzile in their hand. And Piper, she has just that. That hand is stacked, and no Marnie in sight for Drew here. Does have a boss's orders, but not much else. Is able to find the Regieleki, like you said. Grab the quick ball for something else, and we'll see a knockout here at least. But it's going to be rough.
Yeah, I do like picking up the extra Regieleki. I think that out of all the Regis on the bench, of course, this lightning attacker is going to be the biggest target. So just having an immediate replacement is so important to get that Terra Spark down and try to get some of these Sobbles out of the way, slow down Piper's ability to search through the list. This is a great showcase of the match. With this Radiant Charizard box deck, where typically Charizard is doing a lot of the heavy lifting, but now in a single prize matchup, Inteleon becomes a premium attacker. Now Raihan is the supporter for the turn, able to attach an energy from the discard pile and then search for a missing card. What do you think Piper wants from this position off Raihan?
Honestly, she has access to pretty much anything in the deck. We could just see a lot of stuff come down this turn. Looks like an energy might be a card that she's eyeing down.
There's a lot. Yeah, you can see just making a short list at the top of the deck of what the possible options are, and you can see so many split paths and decisions, micro decisions about how to be most efficient with this list. Shady Dealings and Inteleon for energy search for the other fire energy.
And it's actually a pretty important thing to get the card with the Raihan. That's the one card Drew will not know about.
True.
So she opted for another Raihan here to keep the chain going next turn, just because with these single prize matchups, you're just going to be taking knockout after knockout after knockout, and your Raihan's going to be turned on pretty much every turn, as long as Drew gets set up as well.
So already we've got another just Shady Dealings and Inteleon ready to go with this Aqua Bullet in the active. It looks so easy. It seems so simple to just get these Pokemon set up, but you can just tell that there's a lot more going down behind the scenes. It's not just about setting up the Inteleon, it's about thinning out the deck, right? Going for the energy search, etc. So now the natural top decks for Piper are going to be monstrous, and the hand is fully stacked. We've even got Radiant Charizard, again, got from the prizes from the Isui and Heavy Ball, so Piper is going to rely on this Inteleon as long as she can, and as soon as that's no longer possible, Radiant Charizard comes down.
Think it actually might be this turn. You got the Magma Basin in hand. You can go ahead and get that fire energy onto that Radiant Charizard. Get it set up for next turn with just another energy if Drew takes a knockout. Yep. And with here, the Aqua Bullet is putting in a ton of work. That 20 damage onto the next Reggie that Drew is looking to attack with is always great, and it really just makes the math perfect.
Mm-hmm. And I do appreciate the decision of setting up the Radiant Charizard now, simply because, as we've seen with these Inteleon decks, one of their weaknesses is after you have done a ton of searching through your deck and setting up, it does make you vulnerable to just getting Marnied and all those cards being put right back into the deck.
Well, with that speed, lightning energy on that Regieleki, Drew was able to draw a couple cards here. The hand is not too good. You got that Ordinary Rod and a way to search out Pokemon, so when Reggie goes down, you can go ahead and replace it. But we just have the Ancient Wisdom here. We'll be able to get the attack off and get the knockout and spread some damage finally.
So with the, now again, the Regieleki is set up. We've got the Lightning going for the Terra Spark once more, discarding the Lightning energy from the Pokemon, 120, and then some spread damage, just trying to set up, you know, and continue this prize trade. Once we have some damage counters on these smaller basic Pokemon, right, you are able to use spread to take multiple prizes in one turn. That's what Andrew is playing towards. That's what Piper's been also trying to do with Aqua Bullet. The Regis are much tankier, however, than a Galarian Zigzagoon.
And Piper did find that Hisuian Heavy Ball yet again, so Manaphy is now going to be on the bench, and that's going to be really bad for Drew here. Will not be able to continue that Terra Spark and get an extra prize, maybe hop along in the prize race. Both players down to 3. Piper about to finish her turn with 2. And this Clara here just setting up yet again. This whole Inteleon line putting in a ton of work.
A toolbox deck that's based around using this list, you know, to its maximum potential, right? This package. And now with Manaphy as part of the equation, Andrew has to make a decision. Can I just stay ahead in the prize trade? Can I just swing on this Radiant Charizard? Can I swing on an Inteleon and keep it going that way? Or do I have to take a turn off to chase down this Manaphy and stick to my spread damage game plan? And if I take that turn off to take down the Manaphy, like, is that really going to benefit me? It's another big decision that Andrew has to see. Do I try to counter the counter? Do I change my strategy here? 3 prizes for both of these players, so it's still very even in this single prize exchange.
Yeah, it's going to be rough. Piper even has the option to scoop up net this Galarian Zigzagoon with 40 on it to get it off the bench just in case that Manaphy does go down, and we see that here. Mew is going to replace it, and I honestly think that closes Drew's route to victory. He's going to be able to take the knockout on the Radiant Charizard, but then the Inteleon comes in, is able to Aqua Bullet. You already have the Galarian Zigzagoon in hand to do the extra 10 damage. The writing is kind of on the wall here for this game too, and Drew's really going to have to rely on something like a Marnie for disruption to make it through.
To deny that damage that was already placed on the Galarian Zigzagoon. If Andrew was thinking about sticking to that spread damage game plan, chasing down the Manaphy, there could be a window of opportunity there, but now that is locked down. In both of these decks want to take multiple prizes with their big attacks, knocking out V-Star Pokemon. And in the single prize matchup, Piper just gets set up with an attacker much faster with the Inteleon. And once you take that first prize and keep up that momentum of repeatedly attacking, and that's so simple to do here with this Inteleon engine backing you up. It just becomes a massive difficulty for the Regis to hang tight. If this were to go to a game 3, I think that Andrew might be able to get hopefully a faster setup, or maybe the Inteleons are prized, something like that. But having to take that early scoop in game 1 because of the unfortunate prizing of the Heavy Ball and the important Regis there.
Andrew is able to thin his hand down to 0 for this Regidrago, but unfortunately put a lot of cards that don't really do much in the deck, trying to find that Marnie, and does not grab it here. And wow, this is going to be tough. You're going to be able to take the knockout on that Radiant Charizard, but Piper has everything in her hand.
With the Drizzile with 1 energy attached that is primed and ready to become an Inteleon. Piper hasn't even needed to use any of the other resources to recover the Radiant Charizard the way these box decks typically operate. And without Andrew being able to disrupt with the Marnie, look how big this hand is. All the resources are there and ready to go, and it's only going to get bigger from here.
Inteleon does come down, so shady dealings yet again. That's what this deck does.
And now we've got, again, Cross Switcher being eyeballed here, going for a snipe on the bench, because Andrew has to assemble this full suite of Regis just to stay in the game by continuously sniping the bench over and over again. Andrew has to pull double duty. It's not just, oh, I have a second attacker ready to go. It's, I have to recover this from the discard pile or search through the deck for an additional copy, and it's just very, very taxing on Andrew's deck.
Cross Switcher and Air Balloon were the trainer cards found off the Shady dealings. That means double Cross Switcher in hand for Piper. She has the option to take a knockout on any Regieleki she chooses.
Ooh, I do like that. Yeah, it just puts the Mew in the active to get access to Mysterious Tail. To pick up an ordinary Rod, this is going to recover the Charizard. And I believe that, yeah, we've got the Air Balloon, so this Mew can just get right back out of the active. Just a fantastic little decision, right? Nice efficiency to get this Mysterious Tail. There's the Scoop Up Net to recycle the Drizzile onto the other Fresh Sobble, finds the Clara. And again, the recovery of being able to guarantee I can get this final prize is already being set up by Piper. Once we go back over to Andrew, it is Marnie or bust.
And honestly, it's going to be pretty bad for Andrew here. The Clara bringing back that Radiant Charizard, and it will only need one Fire Energy to attack. And with that, it's going to be hard for Drew to actually take the knockout. Radiant Charizard just a little bit out of range for a lot of those Reggies.
Yeah, and Clara just puts these right back into your hands. So this Charizard can even just be pre-benched, like we saw Piper do much earlier. Anticipating the Marnie disruption, getting the Charizard in play already, has the Magma Basin to just put that Fire Energy right back onto Radiant Charizard. Love that art, by the way. And here it is, Inteleon going once more. How many KOs can this Pokemon rack up? I think it's just been 5 out of 6 now.
Yeah, and it's really kind of a checkmate situation on board. You have two attackers that are able to knock out pretty much anything on Andrew's side of the board. Then Inteleon can't really deal with something, but you have that Galarian Zigzagoon. Now you're able to deal with anything. And it is unfortunate to see with just how game one turned out, you know, the 30 seconds of, oh, I don't like my prizes, I'm going to scoop this game, to this game where it's very back and forth, but just thanks to Piper getting that first prize with that attack first, it really pushes the advantage to her.
I know. Is there? We just got to have the one of Crushing Hammer in the deck. We need some heavier disruption here, but it's just not available for Andrew. Yep, just going to draw off of Dragon's Horde. Has the Bruno research, can draw cards, but again, the writing is on the wall. Very unfortunate here. Going to research, try to find 7 more. If there's an option in the deck, Andrew is not going to leave it unexplored.
Well, there's the path to the peak. That's going to be something that will shut off that Excited Heart ability from Radiant Charizard. Does not have the way to disrupt the hand, so with the Magma
Basin to bump the path to the peak, Charizard's back online to take the final prize.
And with that, Piper moves on to 11-1 here in Baltimore, needing just one more win to lock up that top 8 spot, and one of the first people to try to get there.
The showcase there from Radiant Charizard was just a masterclass. If you've been thinking about picking up this deck or you're still learning it, definitely see this game, study this game, and look at the sequencing, the micro decisions there about, you know, which Pokemon to grab off of the Hisuian Heavy Ball, right? Got the Radiant Charizard over the Manaphy, knew that there wasn't a reason to start knocking away that spread damage right away because of the scoop up nets. All of the, you know, the damage on the Galarian Zigzagoon got completely canceled out, and Piper was just in control most of that game. Didn't seem to be worried at all. Andrew fought very valiantly, continuously set up the Reggie synergies, had that Ancient Wisdom